Hi, my name is Michael Frankfort. I'm currently a grade 6 teacher at Barbara Reid Public School, and my connection to this Upcycle bucket drum project is my class is the one that worked on it.
I'm a TK entertainer, just T and K. This me is TK Duckman. Nice to meet you. Oh, by the way, I play bucket drums on the street as a busker in the world, and as Duckman, yeah.
My name is Corey Fagan. I'm an aspiring musician, singer-songwriter. I guess the last few months I was brought in by a former teacher, Mr. Frankfort, to come and help his students with building recycled instruments and learning about the whole green movement that's been going on over the years, and that's something that they've been pushing, I guess, in public schools recently, so I thought it'd be a good idea for me to come in and help push that a little more.
This year, being a brand new school, the students on the eco team and the students in my class were really interested in participating in an action project of some kind that has an impact on the environment. We got funding from an organization called Learning for a Sustainable Future, and in that amount of money, the students decided that they wanted to give back something to the community and connect with the community. So the purpose behind this was to not so much as recycle, but learn how to reuse and reduce our waste through upcycling of items and upcycling of things they could find around their house as well as around the community, and see if they could make something of it. The actual product didn't start right away, but once we started working through it, we determined what it was going to be.
I think there's a few. I mean, for the green side of it, I think it's important for the kids to know that you can create cool things out of items that people might not necessarily want anymore.
The interest in a project like this really stems from student interest and student voice. And what better way than to have them learn through play? And this was one of the big issues and the big ideas that we took from this. As well, the other issue and the other idea that we wanted to focus on was looking at sort of social norms and social identities within their own community. And by using something where they can use stuff they find in their own environment, in their own community, to build something else with something of great interest to them. And that's sort of how the project started.
I guess something I noticed was that they were extremely engaged, and I think that has a lot to do with Mr. Frankfort, just in terms of how we do things at school now. Because I think when I was growing up, that whole green movement and being environmentally friendly wasn't being pushed as hard as it is now. And these kids, I think, realize how important it is, and they've really embraced that. And they want to be the ones to push that envelope even further.
So just to backtrack, one of the pieces of the project eventually became to make musical instruments out of found objects. The original idea was to just find stuff around their houses, buckets or old pots and pans and spoons and whatnot. But then it turned into something a little bit bigger. And so we determined, by working together and looking at a lot of the aspects of what we have in our local community, the students decided that they wanted to go and find stuff, both stuff that would be found at their houses, as well as going to different stores, consignment shops, antique shops, thrift shops, and taking materials to actually create something else. So the big learning from a project like this is to take something that was used for something else and make it to be something even different than what it originally was. So it's being able to look at something from what it is and imagine and actually turn it into something else. In this respect, it's taking, as we say, pots and pans and trays and buckets and sticks, and I don't even know what some of these things are, to be quite honest, and turn them into a percussion instrument.
We learned that we can reuse items that we've used to make music with buckets, like pans, cheese grinder.
We learned to recycle and upcycle other materials and to make other useful things that we can use in our everyday lives.
We learned that we can turn buckets and things that you don't really need anymore that we can't use into drums, and we can like reuse them.
One of the key ideas that I learn from working with students is to really be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Knowing sort of what the end goal is going to be from listening to student voice, where they wanted to build these musical instruments out of found and reused and recycled objects, but it was also the idea of not being afraid to make a mistake and also learning through play. These instruments, even though they were built, every time they're used they have to be redone, or they have to punch a hole here, or you got to bend something a different way. So I think the big item on this is using your creativity, learning to be comfortable with making mistakes, learning from your mistakes, and then working together collaboratively to do something. It's not so much of what the end product looks like or even the functionality of it. It's the learning piece that you do along the way. It takes time, it takes a lot of prep work, but in the end you have built in, I feel, and based on the students' interactions and based on their comments, you've built in a way to include everybody in a project that they can work together.
Seeing these kids and seeing how committed they are to the cause, it was pretty inspiring. It makes me want to work harder, especially because it wasn't something that I was doing as much growing up as a kid.
We learned that we can like upcycle a lot of new things and make them into new things. Like, for example, we just took like a bunch of tins and boxes and then we made it into a really cool drum set, and now we can use it.
TK is this guy who came from Japan to Australia to Canada. He plays bucket drums in the streets of Toronto, and he helped us make our bucket drums.
TK Duckman is this really awesome guy who we were inspired by because we saw him on a video and he makes bucket drums and he plays them. So we got inspired to make these because we saw him do it.
TK is a person who makes bucket drums.
Me, as Duckman, I got a lot of energy and happiness. Their passion keeps me alive right now. Yay! Thank you so much! Arigatou gozaimasu. And that's all I need to do. Anything. Duckman, this me, never stops smiling. They asked me if I would get tired, but how though? I never get tired of smiling because I'm always having so much fun. So yeah, I want them to be having so much fun, as much as I do. Yay! And happiness is the most important aspect in my life. So I hope they also learned how important happiness is through the project with me.
I hope he made a big impact. Yeah, I definitely took a lot away from him. I think it was really cool. It was a cool opportunity for the students to see an international musician come into their class who has a different view of, maybe not the world, but a different view of how the world works because of where he comes from. And I think it gives the students an opportunity to kind of see that you can do whatever you want with your life and you can go wherever you want to do these things. You just have to do it, and I think them also seeing that TK use recycled products for his instruments, and that he's really talented when he uses them. I think that kind of solidifies the fact that you can build things out of recycled products and put them to good use.
You'll probably see throughout this video this guy dressed in this yellow suit and looks like a duck. His name is TK Duckman, or TK Entertainer, and he's a busker who actually comes from Japan, and he busks downtown Toronto, and he actually uses upcycle objects in his bucket drumming that he does on the streets. One of the things about TK that's interesting is his ability to turn anything into some aspect of entertainment and fun, and his involvement with the project was to show students that yes, this actually can be done. This is also somebody who's not originally from Canada, and somebody who really wanted to fulfill his passion, even though there may be a lot of challenges along the way. And having him come into the classroom was something that allowed the students to see how to make something real. On the same side, we did have our musician, Corey Fagan, come in, who looked at music and artistry from another different perspective, which is also complementary to the process. Again, somebody looking at following their passion in a different way and actually having them kind of connect together.
TK Duckman is a busker that used to live in Australia, and now he performs in downtown on the streets. We got inspired by TK because he plays the bucket drums. And as you can see right here, every group got a bucket and just that to start on.
And then we used some materials that we got from the thrift shop, and then we put them together to make cool instruments.
I could connect this project to the real world because all these items were used before, and then we went to stores and bought them and then make them into a bucket drum.
So often at your homes, you just say let's just throw this in a recycling bin or something like that. But you don't realize that many of these items you can create into bucket drums or any other convenient items you can make.
The connection to the real world is that we learned how to take objects and not throw them out and make them into other things.
One of the biggest challenges that a teacher has is to make the curriculum come alive and really allow for some real-life applications. By embarking on a project such as this, you allow for that embedded connectivity to exist. In my classroom with the grade 6 students at Barbara Reid Public School, we really looked at the connections of the arts to literacy, some math, and as well as really looking at this idea of environmental literacy. So it's not so much that we're going out and going on a hike or doing some type of nature study or visiting a local pond. We are walking through the neighborhood, trying to reduce our carbon footprint, and really having conversations with different organizations and businesses that recycle, reuse, and reduce waste. And what better way to do it than to take these items and turn them into musical instruments.